Hi guys, my name is Cole Hahn, and I'm here to talk to you about youth in the criminal justice system today. What we're trying to figure out is what are the issues facing these juveniles who are incarcerated for extended periods of time, and how does their prolonged incarceration eventually impact American society later on? And we're also going to look at what can be done to prevent these problems from occurring again in the future. So some of our methods for data collection, I'm also taking another class here at Chico State called the Juvenile Justice Process. And Sarah Smith, a professor, has been very helpful in terms of taking all my emails, texts, calls, answering any questions I have. I referenced her book pretty heavily there on the right that you see. And I did ample internet research with the National Institute of Justice and Juvenile Law Center websites being my main two sources for information online. Anyway, what I ended up finding out is that juveniles face negative effects while incarcerated for extended periods of time. This interrupts development during their critical years of growth. So, ages 10 to 16, these kids are in jail. That is harming their cognitive growth and their social growth and their behavioral growth. Mental health issues have been reported. Depression, anxiety, suicidal thoughts have all been very common in the juvenile detention facilities as well as adult detention facilities. They are removed from all their support groups that offer positive support, such as school, friends, and family. All of these systems are designed to positively reinforce the juvenile, except they are taken away from these once they are incarcerated. So this leads to a higher rate of recidivism in juveniles. The lack of education and opportunities cause them to find other means of success, such as stealing, robbing, black market, who knows. Overcrowded corrections facilities fuel neglect and prohibit rehabilitation progress. So if you have 500 students or 500 juveniles and only 5 counselors to service those juveniles, a lot of them are not going to have their needs met to a standard to a certain standard, and that's going to prohibit the rehabilitation process from actually doing its job. Juveniles are also forced to find role models and more experienced delinquent children because that's all that surrounds them. They are in detention centers with other people who commit the same atrocities as they have. So they are forced to learn from older and more experienced members. And all of this increases delinquent attitudes after they are finally released. This has a huge impact on society, with taxpayers shelling out a lot of money to house, clothe, and feed juveniles. This recidivism rates also causes governments to spend a ton of money on crime prevention and public safety. This adds a huge stress to law enforcement because they are the ones forced to go clean up crime and deal with it, as well as working huge overtime shifts. This deteriorates family relationships through economic turmoil because a lot of the times families are met with huge court fees and lawyer fees. So if they cannot pay those fees, they're plunged into debt, and that totally just destroys the family relationship. This also causes people to feel unsafe in their own communities. Obviously, more crime causes people to feel unsafe in their own homes. So some preventative measures that I have found are some family support programs prove to be very helpful because they economically support the family while they are going through the court process. So they don't end up falling into debt and separating from each other. Cognitive behavioral therapy treatment is one that focuses on behavioral centers in the brain, training you to not act on certain impulses and behaviors. Academic outreach is very important because job training and GED programs are necessary. We need to have kids who can contribute to being productive members of society once they're released. And obviously, extracurricular activities, school sports, chess clubs, whatever, can help keep students out of trouble and off the streets. So some concluding thoughts I have is that incarceration at a young age can obviously have very negative detrimental effects on juveniles. The incarceration causes recidivism rates to increase, and this results in a direct and negative impact on society. Other forms of support and intervention programs can be used to prevent incarceration and lower recidivism rates, but it can never completely go away. Thank you guys so much for listening to what I have to say, and have a good rest of your day.